Interval training for a masters runner. Do we need it? And should we, as masters runners, approach interval training the same as our younger running colleagues? How often should we do interval training, and what exactly is interval training? So do we need it? Big question there, eh? Big question. And the answer is simple, yes and no. Some of us do, or some of us can, and the no is more down to those that get too much of a negative response from the higher impact. Because bearing in mind, interval is probably going to be the highest load bearing, highest impact session that we are going to put our older bodies through in our week or our training rotation. So if it's causing you too much negativity, then stop doing it. Do not do it. Find something else. There's other ways. You can do hill reps, just straight uphill, walk down recovery. You can do a fartlek session on the trails. You can do fartlek on the road. Some people find going fast on the road with the new modern shoes, they don't get injured so much as they do on the running track. And one of the things that I've tried to work out as well, why a lot of people do get injured a lot on the track, especially as we age, is we tend to change our technique on the track to because we have recoveries between our interval sessions. We're always fresher going into the next K, fresher than we would be, for example, in the second, third and fourth K of a 5K race, because you've had no break, you've had no recovery. It's a constant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5K race. So your technique is more efficient and not so springy and bouncy. On the track, most likely subconsciously, we have a slightly higher knee lift. We're more on our toes. We're rotating our shoulders. We're driving our shoulders and our arms more on the bend kick, and we're trying to lean into that bend and trying to go around the bend on our track craft overtaking. So our technique is probably slightly different to how we run the form that we run in a race. And in training, in our longer runs, our slow runs. And as we age, that slight change, that slight 0.5% in running form, running technique, that's enough to cause injuries. So bear that in mind as well if you keep getting injured, you know. But a lot of people don't get injured and they're fine with track work. But those of you, and you know who you are, you know, and you constantly get injured, you repair, get back training again, straight back on the track, and you're injured again. Just stop injured. Just stop interval training. And it's not going to destroy your performance times. It isn't. Most of my 5K PBs have been accomplished at the end of long winter training programs with no interval at all. This year alone, in April, I ran 16:21 at 58 years old with no interval work at all. When I started interval work a few weeks after, my times actually slowed down 2 or 3 seconds on easier courses. So I've stopped now. I will be doing no more interval except up hills or on some road sections that I know that are quite forgiving, as in slight incline. So on the nose, you know who you are, just don't do them. Just do not do interval no more. Those of you who can do interval and can recover from interval and can fit interval in every week or every other week, then you're going to get great adaptation from that interval. Physiologically and scientifically, interval will improve you. However, interval alone will not improve you. Interval is just the icing on the cake, as long as your other sessions are done correctly. Your long run is long enough, not too quick. Your easy runs are easy enough and not too short as well. Your recovery runs are slow enough and short enough. Your tempo or lactate threshold runs are not at race pace. So if you get all that right, and your strength on top of that as well, and your recovery, as in your non-running recovery, if that's all in order, then the interval session will just take you to that final stage of getting your PB. So yes and no on interval. And no one knows your body as much as or as good as you do. So start listening to yourself. You're not 25, 35 no more. You obviously, if you're watching this, you're above 50. So take note, Don't go down this age is but a number. No, age is a number. And if you're 50, 55, 60, 65, the aches and pains still come with the age. So don't kid yourself, yep. And if you're going to be in denial of your age, which is fine, I am sometimes, but show some empathy to your body, okay? Should we approach interval the same as our younger running colleagues? And I see that, I'm laughing, because I see this at, most club nights. You've got the main session on a Tuesday, let's say 5 times 1K. You've got the old guys and girls with the youngsters, and they're doing the same session 5 times a K with 60 seconds to 90 seconds jog recovery. Pointless. You are achieving nothing. You need to be doing around 4 minutes recovery for a 5 times 1K session. And as you get fitter, bring it down to no more than 2.5 minutes recovery. That should be where you stop. And if you're doing your 5 times a K, even splits at your race time, at your current 5K race time, or slightly below for your PB, with 2.5 minutes recovery, then you're going to PB. So don't go down that road of 60-second, 90-second jog recoveries with the youngsters. No, we're too old. We have very fine margins for error at our age. Yep. So just be at one. Know yourself. Know you. Okay? Know your limits. How often should we do interval? It's another big question as well, and it's very simple. Very simple. Big question, easily answered. If you're training 5-6 times a week, you can do interval once a week. As long as your other sessions are done correctly, i.e. long enough, slow enough, and not too quick. If you're doing 4 sessions a week, you can do interval once a week. And then every second week, maybe change that to a tempo run. So you do an interval every 2 weeks and tempo every 2 weeks. And then if you're doing 3 to 2 days a week training, I would do interval every second week. And never miss your long run. Always include your long run. If you're doing 2 days a week or 6 days a week, your long run is still the main session. Do not miss that. So, how often? I think that's quite simple. And what is interval? Interval is basically, it shouldn't be complicated. I tend to be a 5 times or to 8 times 1K person because the metric's very good. The metric of 1 kilometer is in most of our races, 5K, 10K, 21K, marathon, whatever. And most courses are marked per K. And it's very easy for you to train K reps, and then you can transfer that into a race for your K splits. And if you're doing 5 times a K, make sure your intervals, your recovery intervals are correct. And like I just mentioned, I would start off, or for example, if your 5K current race PB is 20 minutes for 5K, then obviously I would do 5 times 1K, and whatever recovery it takes to get you even splits across all 5 reps at between 3:56 and 4 minutes, then that's a recovery time for that specific time or that date. Then after a few weeks of comfortably hard at that pace and recovery time, don't increase your speed, drop your recovery to 3:30. Then if you're achieving 3:56 to 4 minutes with 3:30 recovery across all 5 reps, drop to 3 minutes, same again, drop to 2.5 minutes. And once you're comfortably but harder, so the last one needs to be pushing, you're doing 2.5 minutes recovery and you're achieving slightly under 4 minutes per K, then it's time for a PB. So hope I have answered that question as simple as can be for interval. And please, the main point of this tutorial to go away with is interval. Is it good for you? Is it not good for you? Only you can tell. Yeah, be at one with your body. Don't get injured year in, year out. And I know so many athletes that get injured the same time, the same month of every year. And you got to ask yourself, what is the common denominator? And many of these common denominators are they start to do track training. And especially if it's a rubber or the old weather tracks, because you get a lot more return coming back up your system, a lot more. Often I think that the old-fashioned cinder tracks are far healthier than a synthetic rubber track. Absolutely. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Hope it was easy to follow. My next one will be on tempo and lactate threshold in the next few days. See you soon and keep fit and don't get injured.